Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. I want to say thank you to Social Media Cowboys for sponsoring this week's episode of the Confidence Through Health podcast. If you need help with a website, if you need social media needs for your business, if you need help with AdWords, SEO, all those things that you know you should be doing, but you are too busy to do or you're too confused about, they are the experts that you need in your corner. If you're interested in launching a podcast, such as mine, they help me edit my podcast and do a fantastic job making sure that all of the technical side of it is handled and we launch a nice, neat, edited podcast episode each week. So I want to thank Social Media Cowboys for their continued sponsorship of the Confidence Through Health podcast. You can find them at socialmediacowboys.com, or you can find them as well with other sponsors at confidencethroughhealth.com. All right, Nodari, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Gladly. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, in our brief conversation before we started, I was like, okay, we got a lot that we could cover. This is going to be great. But the main thing but the first thing I want to talk about and give people an idea of I love for people to understand where your passion comes from. And you started out with law degree, business degree, economics. And
all my life, I've been a health enthusiast.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it just comes from the stars or the family or wherever that it comes from.
Right.
So by education, my first degree is in economics management. My second degree is law. Now, the weirdness of my mind is that I always was somewhat disgusted by anything corporate. I just never liked it. And a little later in my first degree, I said, well, this whole economy management, this is so boring and this is so useless.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you think that when you're living with mom and dad and they're paying the rent and
Right.
food, like that,
Right.
it's very common to question things.
Yeah.
That come fairly easy. And I said, well, I really would like to do something useful. And what I saw as useful and what I thought is good is law. And I chose a very non-corporate, non-commercial type of law, human rights, civil rights.
Right.
And I went to law school. So in law school, and I said this on myriad podcasts, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to bore people.
It's already out there. Yeah.
They heard it's already out there. But long story short, I was always fascinated by Soviet dissidents. So I meet a gentleman who is older. I think he was in his 60s, maybe early 70s at this point, who was a Soviet dissident, was thrown off of a building
Wow.
for his thought crime. So
yeah.
That's a good, my favorite book, 1984, thought crime. So for his thought crime, he was thrown off of a building by KGB officers at that point, because that's how quite often they would get rid of people.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't die, but did break his back, got paralyzed. When I met him, he was incredibly active, walking indeed with a slight limp, but nevertheless, after paralyzed and walking, and he had a very interesting job. So he was a bookseller. This is pre-active internet. So the guy just hustles books and intellectual books, not just whatever books. Highly encyclopedic knowledge of life, and interesting conversations. And when I would talk to him, I would say, well, what did you do? He said, well, I did yoga and the resin. And this whole resin thing kind of stuck with me for many years.
Yeah.
And I graduated, I started working. I did work for the UN. I did work for OSCE. So I have jobs that were quite good, but not very fulfilling. Let's put it that.
Yeah.
They and good jobs, but did never produce a lot of money. So
Mhm.
like I couldn't really maintain. It was okay living, but I couldn't really do certain things.
Yeah.
So and I was taking side gigs. And side gigs I was taking for my uncle who owns and runs a pharmaceutical company. So he's a
Mm.
doctor. And my doing contracts, doing research, pharma things, and just for a disclaimer, it's life-saving pharma, things
Right.
like expanders, for
Right.
example, things that you need that pharma 3 to 5%, where it's really needed, acute
Yeah.
acute trauma,
Right.
accidents, where you just need to get more blood into the body, and he would always talk to me about certain things, and there's this approach of like science and tweaking and being relevant and being where you have to be whenever there is a big challenge, a big
Hmm.
problem. So but even that was somewhat um, disillusioning to me.
Hmm.
I wanted to do something that would not be commercial, at least, and do something for the people. And
Right.
this conversation with the gentleman who was paralyzed prior kind of stuck with me for years. So when I was in grad school working on my doctorate, I was already experimenting and thinking and what to do and how to do the science, etc. And little by little by little, I got into this whole idea of the resin.
Yeah.
And we, as Pure Black, as a company, we started very, very early on. And because we started very early and gave tremendous head start,
Hmm.
but it allowed to build phenomenal infrastructure.
Right.
Basically, from the scientific aspect of to innovative aspect and to really high end resins.
Yeah.
Because if you look at something like Shilajit, it's one of the most counterfeited supplements on the planet.
Hmm.
But again, quality versus
Oh
non-quality,
yeah.
I think it's common for any industry. The more I look into, very massive things, turmeric,
Hmm.
olive oil,
Yeah.
flours for bread. Well, it turns out that the bulk of what is out there, it's actually very low quality,
Right.
very inferior things that are done for margins to sell clearly.
Yeah.
But a lot happens with the convenience factor,
Hmm.
not going rancid factor, not
Right.
going bad factor. And that's how you basically cut and cut and cut into something that initially was a good thing, but
Hmm.
required a lot of work and a
Yeah.
lot of discipline, and make a commercialized product basically. And you completely pervert
Hmm.
the idea of,
Yeah.
just as many ideas in life were perverted through a sad lifestyle. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, and
but
it does take it takes a commitment to understanding what your goal is, to not go that route of let's cut these things, let's make the margin.
well, and if you will allow me to very briefly step away from Shilajit
Mhm.
and talk about things that people would understand very well, and then we'll come back to
Yeah,
Shilajit quality, blah blah
absolutely.
blah. For example, let's take coffee as an
Hmm.
example. There's very expensive coffee.
Right.
There's very cheap coffee. Now, why would coffee be cheap? Why would certain types of coffee be cheaper and not work as well? And some great types of coffee would be so much more expensive.
Yeah.
There's a myriad of factors, and those
Hmm.
factors are where it's grown, environmental limitation, so
Right.
maturation of the coffee,
Yep.
quality of the soil, then was it handpicked? So like because
Right.
you have to pick the right beans at like perfect ripening,
Hmm.
or Was it done by some sort of machine which basically went through twigs and
Yeah.
didn't discriminate ripe coffee, non-ripe coffee, blah blah blah, etc., etc.
Right.
So when you look at just the raw, well, you have a situation already where the amount of quality coffee, because of how it's grown, it's not there,
Yeah.
but there are all these adulterants that are there for mass. Yes, it probably has caffeine, but it doesn't have a lot of other phytochemicals
Right.
that are highly important.
Yeah.
Let's take even more interesting one. Let's take bread.
Oh gosh.
So common bread is
Yeah.
empty calories. Now,
Right.
was it always like this? No.
Mhm.
Bread is not supposed to be empty calories. It was, I mean, you look at the history of the world, there were civilizations built on grains,
Oh
bread,
yeah.
etc. And people didn't have a lot of obesity problems, a lot of
Right.
cardiovascular problems, etc. Now, if we think about like from the very beginning, yes, all the growing wheat factors, all of that's relevant. Wheats that are not hybridized do not produce as much bulk. They don't yield as much. They are
Right.
genetically manipulated. They are genetically manipulated to basically not take in or take in certain chemicals,
Mhm.
etc. But all of that goes down the food chain.
Sure.
But there's another one which is very interesting. In order to produce flour, you have to remove the germ. They remove the germ, the
Mhm.
most nutritious part of the
Right.
grain, and they remove the fiber.
Yeah.
And instead of having a flour, maintaining it a certain way, milling right away, fermenting properly, which is also a time, and time is money, time is
Mhm.
expense, harder to make.
Yeah.
They they basically make it flour, which will be shelf stable for years. So what you have empty calories
Yep.
with adulterants and with things not there which are supposed to be healthy.
Yep.
So those type of things. Shilajit is even more fascinating, interesting, and the reason it is because well, you need Shilajit bearing rock,
Okay.
not sedimentary rock formations, which in common speak, in common language, it's basically soil. It's
Right.
basically like whatever that is that was at some point around the rock. That rock needs to be sufficient quality to later extract and produce quality.
Okay.
So, and unless you have that, you can't have high quality shilajit, you can't have high quality resin. Then there's the process. You got to
Right.
purify properly. You got to leave all the bioactives, blah, 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 whatever. And it's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of very in depth thinking.
Yeah.
It goes into something that will produce either legendary results,
Mhm.
because a lot of what we know about any supplements, it's urban legends, it's
Sure.
blind evidence. So it's things that are absolutely not true.
Right.
So uh and they always existed
Mhm.
throughout history. So if you look at history, 500 years ago, people were trying to do what they're doing now.
Oh yeah.
Very, very similar. So the
Mhm.
human nature didn't change much.
Right.
So you have a situation where it not only takes really high quality raw ingredients, etc., but then purifying and getting to
Right.
the form where you will get efficacy.
Right.
Also, great trilogy is always great trilogy. That's just the reality of it. Now, it'll always be slightly different. That's why it is so difficult, almost impossible to standardize.
Mhm.
That's why it is much easier to standardize something that is a result of a chemical process.
Right.
Because as a result of a chemical process, you can take one molecule,
Mhm.
one substance, and say, well, I have this and I have this in abundance, and it was easy to do.
Right.
Let me open to this demon.
Yeah.
I think they want to be part of a podcast. So let's
Yeah.
let's show people.
No, that's good.
So look at
Oh,
this.
I love it.
So the Shilajit dog,
Yeah.
right? The
That's
Shilajit.
awesome.
Anyway, so
Um,
you have a situation where basically it takes a lot of skill to make it.
mhm.
Now, when we're talking about Shilajit, it can be an active ingredient in itself. It does certain things in itself.
Right.
It does them very well. And we'll talk shortly about what it is and how to qualify it and what it
Right.
does.
Right.
But it's also a delivery system. So in Ayurveda, it is considered to be an amplifier and harmonizer.
Okay.
So something that will amplify other things. That's why um, there's a concept of a churna Ayurvedically. So it's a mix which has multiple things.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at studies, just studies of churnas and what people were able to do a couple thousand years ago, already a couple thousand years ago, they were capable of making nanoparticles of
Mhm.
gold, silver, of platinum, which is phenomenal. And the
Right.
reason they know it, um, the reason this knowledge is here is because there were written records, things were replicated
Right.
and measured with something that is like modern, not medicine, modern science. But again, do we really know what things were like a couple thousand years ago? Well, nobody
Right.
was there.
Nobody. Yeah.
So it is likely that there were technologies probably superior to what
Mhm.
we have. But again, let's not speculate. Let's not go into whatever theories
Right.
in this podcast. So
Right.
yes, that's how I got into Shilajit. A little wordy.
Right.
Apology
That's okay.
is what it
But
is.
so one of the things you said though that I want people to like because it's so true, and I've tried to explain it to people in how watered down basically the food supply is from
Right.
a nutrient standpoint, because it goes through this, or they're trying to make margins, or they're taking different things out to improve the flavor, all the different things that they're doing to the different processed foods that are out there,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then of course some of the whole foods are getting genetically modified, and things are happening to those.
True. True.
And so for the person that's out there that's going like, why do I need to take all these supplements? Why do I need to do all this stuff? It's because unless you're very careful about what you're selecting to put in your body and where it's coming from, you're probably not getting what you think you're getting, right?
It's a deep loaded question.
Yeah.
It's a very deep loaded question. I think yes and beyond.
Mhm.
And we can't, I don't think we can limit what you just said
Mhm.
just to food or supplements.
Right.
I think that an American way of life, unfortunately, and I don't like it,
Right.
is sell as much as possible.
Sure.
And everybody, unfortunately, tries to oversell.
Mhm.
Now the question is, do you need 20 supplements?
Right.
Will your kidneys be able to handle as much stuff?
Right.
There, you do not have a lab and the resources to run a lab to basically verify everything
Right.
via identity and purity. Now, that's one part of the equation.
Mhm.
The other part of the equation is everybody's slightly different.
Sure.
Everybody's slightly different genetically. everybody's slightly different as far as their body constitution,
Sure.
mind constitution. They probably burn a little faster through certain things and a little less through others.
Yep.
So I would want to say that, and it probably sounds a little like out there, but I think deep self reflection
Hmm.
on what's good for me is way more valuable than taking advice from myriad experts who all
Right.
try to sell something.
Yep.
So, and again, I do ask this question a lot. People say, "Well, aren't you guys selling? Aren't you guys a brand?" And I say, "Don't buy from us,
Right.
please. Relieve us the stress of. That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but be open to an idea and be open to questioning reality and
Right.
deciding what is good for you as a holistic human.
Right.
So
Yeah.
don't get poisoned by politics, for example.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Don't watch TV.
Yep.
Just
Exactly. That'll change your life right there.
that'll change your life right there. I think
Yeah.
I think I think if you get out of the city, just
Hmm.
be closer to nature,
Yeah.
listen to nature for at least half an hour a day, a lot of things as far as life and health and happiness
Yep.
will change. And
Yep.
the other thing is say, don't be corporate.
Right. Well, and to go along with what you say, because I'll see research about this supplement or that supplement or this thing,
Mhm.
and so and I'm very in tune with my body as a performance athlete. I'm very in tune with, okay, something changed. What is it? My performance is lacking, not just necessarily like today, but tracking over time, right? If
Mhm.
I start, because I know if I get 4 hours of sleep, my performance the next day is going to be horrible. If it keeps going for 4 or 5 days, there's maybe something else going on. What caused the lack of sleep, right? Like,
So let's make sure that we tell everybody that under no circumstance sleep less than you gotta sleep.
oh yeah,
And and I'm guilty on Shilajit, especially on very high quality. You can do sleep deprivation, you can function.
oh
But
well,
don't advise to anybody
right,
to function like that unless it's absolutely needed for
yeah,
something absolutely needed.
right,
And you absolutely have to. And then you have to question, I mean, well, do I really need to? Do I absolutely have to? So,
right.
um, Shilajit has quite a strange effect, especially pure black, of, for example, intercontinental flights.
Hmm.
So major big time jet lag.
Right.
So this thing will yank you, normalize you 70 to 80% quicker
Oh
than
wow,
you would normally. I tested it many times, and many people tested it many times.
right.
Has to do with how we make it,
Mhm.
what's the composition of our resin is, etc. And I frankly think that it has to do with magnetism. I mean, you just sync with the place where you are much quicker,
Right.
much more efficiently.
Right.
Um, but better sleep overall.
Hmm.
Some people report better dreaming, more interesting dreaming. And that probably has to do with activation of Shilajit by
Right.
our, and again, I can only talk about our resin. I can't talk
Sure.
like
Yeah.
whatever was bulked with soil extractions. I can't talk about that.
Right.
So uh, it has to do with activating the GABAergic system in the brain. So it's a system that slows us down,
Right.
but it's also a system that is responsible for consolidation of memories. It is a
Hmm.
system that is responsible for slowing us down, thinking deeper, retaining larger amounts of information, etc. No, what is absolutely interesting, and again, historically interesting, if we talk about Shilajit, there are three names, and it's just the ones that just shine and the ones who are the foundation of what today is medicine.
Hmm.
So Avicenna, Avicenna was studied in all the European medical schools for about 500 years. He has a book called Canons of Medicine. There's Shiraka Samhita,
Hmm.
who maybe around the time of Avicenna, maybe predates him a little bit. This guy is foundation of Ayurvedic medicine. And there's another guy not very known. His name's Pava Prakash.
Hmm.
And that's 16th century of current era. And what that guy is very famous for, so he basically did what today would be called a pharmacopoeia
Okay.
of course.
Yeah.
So again, Shiraka Samhita, foundation of medicine, Avicenna, the foundation of all of the current medicine,
Hmm.
Pava Prakash, tooling, you know,
Yeah.
herbs, extracts, therapy.
Right.
So all of them say more or less similar thing, which is very interesting. So, and I'm going to quote here. So, Shiraka Samhita says, Shilajit promotes strength, longevity, overall well being. It is known to rejuvenate body and to improve physical stamina and endurance. So, Ayurvedic side. Now we're
Right.
going more mainstream Avicenna. He says Shilajit is a potent substance used to enhance physical and mental health. It's effective in treating ailments of urinary tract, digestive system, and can be used as a general tonic.
Hmm.
So, and again, this is probably the biggest guy in the history of medicine.
Right.
And then we go to Pava Prakash, who writes almost poetically. He says Shilajit is a powerful elixir capable of revitalizing the body, particularly beneficial to improving memory, intellect, overall cognitive functions.
Hmm.
How interesting, right?
Yeah.
So all of them talk about rejuvenation,
Right.
enhancement of functions at some
Hmm.
point. But they also all talk of this as of a tonic. So if we were to qualify Shilajit as a substance, as a class of its own,
Right.
it would be a regenerative adaptogen. So which is a hybrid, which is a mix
Hmm.
of adaptogen, so a
Right.
substance that makes you perform better under stress
Right.
without being incurred or carrying the side effects of the stress,
Hmm.
along with regeneration. Now, why do elite athletes take this? They take this not only to tonify themselves,
Hmm.
they take this to make sure that the trauma, the micro trauma that they accumulate in training gets mended, gets fixed very, very quickly. It is a very common case when you have a team or you have an athlete
Hmm.
outstandingly performed in training,
Right.
but the moment they got to the competition, it was not in the stars.
Right.
Somebody who didn't do so well in training but was well rested performed better.
Yeah.
And quite often, the reason for that is you get to a season
Hmm.
or to an event with so much damage already
Oh yeah.
that it's a breaking point. That's it.
Yeah.
You couldn't push through the injury.
Hmm.
anything that is micro injury at some point will become a macro injury.
Right.
Now, it's just a sports example, but this goes for the mind.
Yeah.
This goes for the brain. This goes for environmental stress.
Hmm.
So sometimes people say, "Well, I'm not really stressed out." Well, do you have a cell phone?
Yeah. Right.
Go out in the, you are
Yeah.
stressed out
Oh yeah.
by design.
Hmm.
By design, overload of information, just the era of where we live, of how we
Yeah.
live, it is designed to incur damage to you, forcing basically information down the throat
Right.
without leaving you time to meditate and self reflect,
Yeah.
which is very important. Self reflection, these, sympathetic parasympathetic system, the systems in our body are designed to slow us down,
Right.
to feel, and maybe to think.
Yeah.
So occasionally that helps.
Right.
So so that's why regeneration is so important. And it's not just for elite level athletes.
Yeah.
It's for everybody.
Well, and if it's doing that much in the brain and helping with the nervous system and regenerating all that that's where so many of our chronic diseases start to break down first,
Right, right, right. I
right?
mean,
And so
that's
if we
that's
can
where
prevent that breakdown because we're regenerating, or prolong that, maybe not prevent it, but prolong it from happening,
correct.
then
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. That's why in Pure Black, uh I started a company with 12, 13 years ago, maybe 14 years ago. I didn't do it alone. There were wonderful, very strong, very smart, very wise people close to me. So I said, look, we will never compromise on two things:
Mhm.
quality and innovation. This is not to make money.
Right.
This is to produce phenomenal quality and to innovate. So to many people, quite often people say this, and it's pure hype. It's like me too. We Everybody says that we're quality innovation.
Hmm.
So we are actually living it. I have 5 patents. More are coming.
Right.
I am a PubMed published author, even
Right.
though it's not on Shilajit. It's something I have 2 publications. One is on elimination of cancer cells, and the other one is on basically influenza type of viruses. There's a reason why
Yeah.
my scientific work is there.
Yeah.
Um, Ones on Shilajit are coming, and their patents there. So it's all
Right.
public data. Anybody interested can go on Google Patents, Google my
Right.
name, the
Yeah.
patents
It's right
come
there.
up.
Yep.
Same thing on PubMed. Anybody can go on PubMed and look what is it that I published.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the whole concept of Shilajit, it's quite mythical,
Mhm.
and because the market grew so much, because the amount of information with AI and people trying to hype things grew
Yeah.
so much, you constantly have to produce better, newer, more efficient, more optimized versions
Right.
that basically beat themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. And one of the things that we recently did was the White Rabbit
Mhm.
Shoji, where basically took and it's aligned within Pure Black. We took the inspiration from my cells and liposomes and said, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take pure resin, very high quality, very high efficacy. We're going with less than 1%, form nanospheres, nano bubbles
Right.
of the resin, and coat it with an essential oil blend.
Mm.
Okay? smells great.
Yeah.
But the idea, if anybody will read the patent, was to modulate brain frequencies very quickly.
Hmm.
Because in United States, we all are spoiled by the Coca-Colas of the world.
Yeah.
So things gotta things gotta taste,
Hmm.
smell good a certain way. And I
Right.
think that sort of took out a lot of natural out
Right.
of the lives.
Yeah.
And again, nothing against Coca-Cola. They've done a phenomenal job doing certain things,
Sure.
etc. They try to healthy up
Right.
the way they view it, the way they see it. But people want the smell, the
Yep.
taste, the certain feel, and people who are more refined will go for very exquisite tastes,
Yeah.
very exquisite flavors.
Hmm.
And taste and smell is a signaler to our brain. So
Right.
the olfactory nerve, basically smell, the information travels much, much faster to the brain and
Yeah.
modulate the brain than through your gut.
Hmm.
That's just how it works.
Yeah.
And this is why the saying, wake up and smell the roses, it's not just something that was put out there for literature purposes or poetic purposes. A rose is a highly complicated plant,
Yeah.
very complicated phytochemistry, which produces this phenomenal, intoxicating, very healing smell
Yeah.
that brings us joy and happiness. Well, same thing with our white rabbit line. So we created something where we say smell, savor, sip.
Mm.
We are changing the brain frequency in under 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So, and attaching that very sophisticated, very pleasant, very well refined, well developed concept of Shilajit, of the resin, is that pushes the boundaries.
Right.
And of course, I mean, people are trying to imitate, people are trying to add flavors, people are trying to add sweeteners, but
Right.
reality of producing very high end, very high quality, it's way more. It's not enough to just cook things up in your kitchen. You need
Right.
millions of dollars of equipment.
Right.
You need research associates. You do need people with degrees to make sure that you produce novel and real science.
Right.
So,
Well, and I love the idea because it's something that's so basic that we can apply to our whole life. And I've done this with some of my athletes because and I had one of them text me last night that said, "Did you see that this person is going to be in the race I'm doing, the next race I'm doing?" And I'm like, "Worry about yourself. Like you've got to get better yourself, right?" And so like if if you're focused on beating the competition or making more money than the competition, then you're more willing to take steps that are going to, you know, it's going to probably take the quality level down because you're trying to do something
right,
that's going to be able to mass produce something or be able to do that. Whereas if you're going, okay, our product works and it works well, how can we make it better without
right,
compromising anything?
right. And I think the sin of being corporate, and that's why I'm
Mhm.
saying and corporate, everything is there
Yeah.
to make money. I mean, look at Apple when Steve Jobs was there. They didn't make as much, they weren't as valuable, but the
Right.
innovation was there.
Right.
And now it's all just extracting money.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares.
Yeah.
And this is the like there comes a point when it's the downfall of, and then something changes in the market, something
Yep.
changes politically, and the whole house of cards,
Yeah.
which already incurred so much damage to and I'm talking figuratively. I'm not.
Right.
It's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about the specific this corporation or that corporation.
Right.
Once it's all about extraction of funds and livelihood,
Yep.
passion is usually gone.
Oh
And when
yeah.
passion is gone, well, it's not really where you want to be.
Right. Well, and I can practical example of that is there's a product that I've used for years, and I've used just several pieces of their line of product.
Right.
And the the founder that created everything, that cooked it up in his kitchen and like put all the pieces together and everything. Um, he took a step back, and
Right.
somebody else took over, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, this tastes different. What's going on? And the ingredients are slightly different. And I was
Right.
like, well, and not to pick on this specific ingredient for whatever reason, but I just I'd have a reaction to stevia that is just, I just don't like it. It just doesn't. And they started putting stevia in from a flavor standpoint, and I was like, no, I can't use this anymore. I'm like, I
Right.
liked everything else you had before. Now you're trying to keep up with everybody else, and potentially keep your costs, or your the price point lower so people would buy more. And I'm like, and now I'm out, and now I've got to go find something else. You
You
know?
know, here's what's very interesting. And again, I really don't like talking about politics, but we are going to see the next 3 to 5 years major, major deterioration of quality
Hmm.
of supplements, of many, many products besides supplements, and um, major raising of costs.
Yeah.
And it won't necessarily right away be obvious or in your face
Hmm.
because companies don't like to show the fact
Right.
that they raise the cost.
Right.
But when you have monetary pressures, which come through tariffs or which
Hmm.
come through not very intelligent management of economy
Right.
or mismanagement of economy for years and national debt, and someone has to come and clean up this mess, and they
Right.
do things that probably are unpopular. And again,
Hmm.
I'm not talking about any specific president because
Right.
once you mess, it doesn't matter who's in power.
Right.
You have to deal with
There's a
it.
mess. Yep.
Some individuals are messier than the other ones, so
Right.
whoever that
Right.
is. But
Right.
but uh unfortunately, United States, Canada completely lost multiple industries.
Hmm.
What they sell you as made in USA is usually not made in USA. It
Right.
was all China.
Yeah.
It took good 30, 40 years to basically offshore it all and take it out of the US.
Right.
Many industries are completely lost.
Yeah.
And they were lost to greed of our very corporations who were
Hmm.
chasing margins and going for cheap labor
Right.
in Asia, wherever, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
not, you can't, like if you lost the competition, you can't blame a person somewhere in Asia
Right.
who's competing and trying to work and make a living just like you. You can't do
Yep.
that. Or if their medical system was superior to yours, you were getting fat and got sick while they were taking their herbs, etc.
Right.
Uh, and we're competing and innovating and very hard in a very hard way. We're going to school and
Yeah.
saving.
Yeah.
So, but the major part of the herbal extraction industry, of the vitamin producing industry,
Hmm.
it's all China.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
So you can't, whoever says we're producing in the United States, okay, well, you produce in the United States, but like this ingredient, that ingredient,
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
Right.
And what people will never do, they'll produce some pretty certificate of analysis, irrelevant, whatever. And the reason it's whatever or irrelevant, because in order to give you full transparency, they have to disclose their supply chain
Right.
and supply chain of the people who are producing for them. And the moment they do that, their business model is clear,
Yeah.
their business model is obvious, and they lose it to copycats.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's why it's all like, oh, American products, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, right. The
Yeah.
reason we are as expensive as we are, and we are the most expensive company in the Shilajit space,
Hmm.
we we have to maintain factories, we have to maintain everything
Yeah.
here in the US.
Right.
And Shilajit bearing rock, you can get it just in the US.
Yeah.
It comes from all over the world.
Hmm.
So again, from the Shilajit world, there's this pretty myth, pretty legend. Oh, our resin is from Himalayas.
Yeah.
Our is
Right.
from 16,000 feet. Well, usually that is not true, because most counterfeits come from India and Pakistan, which all used to
Mm.
be here. And the reason that is so, because they were so ahead of everybody,
Yeah.
and populations are so high, they wiped out their natural resources.
Right.
So most of Shilajit bearing rock doesn't come from India. But what India does very well, because they have to maintain their prices high, they will import it into India already cut. They'll cut it even more, and
Oh
then they
wow.
sell it as Himalayan and wonderful. It came from India, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But unless you have a blockchain type of technology, from the moment the rock was collected,
Right.
with photos, with
Yep.
chemical analysis, plus chain of custody,
Yeah.
which is sitting on the blockchain,
Right.
you'll never have full transparency.
Yeah.
So poor people who buy this stuff, who do they trust?
Right.
How do you trust somebody if everybody's lying?
Yeah. It's
If
true.
every just selling to you?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
my advice is use your head.
Yeah.
Try the best things, whatever the best is. Give breaks between the best and
Right.
the worst, and see what works for you. So
Right.
that's why touching on this self-reflection, that's why us talking about slowing down,
Hmm.
thinking about things, that's why all of that is important.
Right.
And that will probably allow one to eliminate supplements or eliminate things out of their life that
Right.
are not needed.
Yeah.
So why not take 3 in courses instead of 20 or 15?
Right.
And if you look into the pantry of most Americans, it'll be like 10 plus.
Oh yeah.
Same for drugs, though. Same for
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah. No, and my wife asked me that all the time. She's like, why did we go from 4 supplements to 8 supplements, and now we're back to 6 supplements? You know, like, because I'm trying different. I know the things that I have to have because of my performance level and what I'm trying to do, and they've shown me in my tracking that like these improve my performance. They improve my sleep.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
So
And
like,
I, right. It's a
but then
very,
the other stuff, I'm like, okay, well, oh, let me try this one and see what happens. And like, maybe it has zero effect. I'm like, why am I wasting my money?
right.
It didn't move the needle just because
Not
somebody told me I needed it.
wasting the money. Why are you overloading? Why would you overload
Hmm.
kidneys and liver?
Right.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
But then if you're talking about wasting the money, you're talking about basically inefficiencies.
Right.
Why am I putting money into things and that are inefficient, that
Right.
probably do me damage?
Yeah.
It's kind of like going out to eat. Like sometimes in these big cities, you go out to eat, you go out to a restaurant, you spend a lot of money on food,
Hmm.
and then you're like, I should have cooked at home because this food's toxic.
Right.
Not only it's expensive, not only I wasted my time and my resources, uh I actually poisoned myself, and now I have to
Yep.
undo that damage.
Yeah.
So that's why everything, it's better to do less,
Right.
but very high quality than more,
Hmm.
not high quality.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And so quickly just touch on, like, because you've talked about how it's been around for centuries,
Right.
but it's only recently like become a hot topic, like
That is
getting
correct.
notoriety just in the last couple of years. All of a sudden everybody has one, all the, like what changed that all of a sudden now everybody's jumped on board?
I'll tell you what changed. It was us scaling,
Hmm.
educating it, educating. And then very big companies geared by Pure Black getting into it.
Hmm.
There's a huge company, for example. Well, Pure Black supplies minimum three very large companies with hundreds of millions of dollars
Yeah.
marketing budgets. So that's what changed.
Yeah.
So the word got out there. We built infrastructure because doing this without our infrastructure would be impossible.
Right.
How do you produce 20, 30,000 jars a
Right.
day? Because that's what you need to supply a company for however many months or weeks,
Hmm.
what. But if you have a factory, you have to have it efficient.
Oh, sure.
And you got to have the real stuff. You got to have the resin. You got to have technology. Now, what we maintain just as our stock of resin, it's millions of dollars.
Hmm.
It's actually of
Yeah.
dollars in resin. And unless you have that, yeah, you could have all marketing you want. But if you created demand, you don't have the product, you have
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that's why there's so many counterfeits, and that's why people are coming up with new forms and like tinctures and
Hmm.
tablets. So anything to make it a soil extraction,
Right.
have soil extraction be out there and sell it as Shilajit because you have demand, you gotta satisfy it.
Right.
But what changed is very big names, very big companies getting onto this supplied by us. So, and I'll give you several names. So we are supplying Symbiotica, for
Mm.
example, huge company.
Yeah.
We are supplying David Wolf.
Mm.
So
Yep.
very established, very legacy superfood
Yeah.
and type of person.
Yep.
So and there are several more.
Yeah. But
Also,
that's all it takes, though, is that, yeah.
that's all it takes. I have no interest in being big
Hmm.
because I feel that if you become too big, it takes away certain liberties
Right.
as far as innovation, and it takes away certain peace of mind.
Hmm.
I don't want to deal with investors. I don't want to deal
Right.
with banks. I don't
Yep.
want to deal with anything that has to do with funding the company,
Yeah.
running big operations. Whoever wants to do that, let him do that.
Right.
To me, it means very little or close to nothing.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's more important to be the engine of innovation, of things that work really, really well, and do something a bit more that gets me more heavenly karmic points
Right.
in life.
Yeah.
So I work for food and good karma.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. That's awesome. So, Pure Black, how can people like learn more information? What's the best way?
You can go to pureblack.com, and it's pure no e purblack.com. You should look at everything you should be very critical. You should maybe read my patents.
Hmm.
You should maybe go on PubMed and read everything that is out there already as far as Shilajit, and then pick the best thing that works for you.
Right.
I definitely recommend um, trying things that are more innovative. I
Hmm.
think everybody should try a really high quality pure resin at least once in life. But to be completely frank, as far as the level of innovation, our White Rabbit Shilajit line, our Deja Brew Shilajit, they are somewhat more exciting and innovative
Right.
than just outstanding basic resin.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I want to be. I'm just so thankful that you were able to share with all this information because it's educational for one, and I love that and this is what I look for in my guest is that it's you're telling people to go educate themselves, right?
Right,
It's not
right,
just like we have the best or this is
don't
it.
spend
Like
your money.
right,
Keep it
like
to yourself. Keep it to
yeah,
your family. Be
yeah,
very wise. Don't be sold on hype. That's
right,
it.
yep, exactly.
If I may, one last thing, because when we started our conversation, you
Hmm.
said that you live till 140 years of age,
Yep, that's the goal.
which is the goal, and that's a great goal. So besides Pure Black as Shilajit, which is our core, that's where we started. We make targeted natural non-synthetic peptides.
Okay.
So and again, like peptides are getting very, very big, and I think
Hmm.
in 10, 15 years,
Yep.
it'll all be about peptides. And again,
Hmm.
like just as much Mickey Mouse business as
Yep.
in Shilajit. Synthetics, problems of adulteration,
Hmm.
things not being real, just selling people, like
Yep.
hide extracts,
Yep.
or selling people just very cheap amino acids instead of
Hmm.
real peptides. But what we actually did, we covered in this conversation Shilajit being an amplifier and
Hmm.
harmonizer. We carry multiple peptides which are targeted, non-synthetic, and natural. So from
Hmm.
natural sources, not
Right.
something, where you would have to say, is this synthetic?
Right.
Which lab in Russia or China did it come from?
Right.
Or have
Yep.
like side effect or reaction?
Yeah.
None of that. But the idea right now from Pure Black, Shilajit by itself, it's an idea of several thousand years,
Hmm.
millennia. But the moment you start adding targeted, natural, non-synthetic peptides, you have a situation where you're taking your genes, look gene, you're not going to age
Hmm.
the way you normally age.
Hmm.
You're not going to write faulty code, which
Right.
equals mutation.
Right.
I will push you back in time. And I think humans it's very natural for humans to be scared of death, to
Sure.
want to be eternally youthful and live forever.
Right.
Now, will somebody ever live forever? Well, maybe in the memory of people
Right.
of their good deeds. And like
Yeah.
I'm intentionally saying this.
Hmm.
Karma, good deeds. But uh we can push certain things back in time as far as aging goes.
Right.
When we talk about science of aging, aging is fairly okay studied. There's a science called gerontology. That's
Hmm.
that's part of the medical science, which
Right.
basically studies aging and older adults and what to do and how to treat them, etc. But there are several theories of aging. One of them is antioxidants versus free radicals.
Right.
oxidation,
Right.
rusting, basically
Yep.
rusting. We
Right.
rust. So the other one is stress.
Mhm.
The other one is malnutrition.
Mhm.
The other one is genetic mutations.
Right.
So nobody really knows which one is true or truer. But
Right.
what we can do is we can have a very balanced approach to multiple theories of aging and try to do things that make us healthier,
Right.
make us feel better, and try to kind of like deal with everything, deal
Mhm.
with
Right.
every issue. And if Shilajit is known for millennia, again, I'm highlighting high quality Shilajit. We're not talking about cheap counterfeits. We're
Right.
not talking about hype. We're talking about a very real thing. So the thing that 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, was traded for its pure weight in gold. There are historic records of Shilajit trading for its pure weight in gold.
Mhm.
So if we have that, and that mimics the most potent antioxidants and give strength and vitality and nourishment to our bodies, what it doesn't address are the genetic mutations.
Right.
So if we're dealing with genetic mutations in the muscles, in the joints, in the brain, and we create a certain homeostatic environment, a certain balance in our body, whether that's through herbs or meditation
Mhm.
or quality nutrition or any sort of practice. So it can be one thing, it doesn't have to be one thing, it can be many things.
Right.
Um, so if we have that, most likely we will push the biological clock back.
Mhm.
And once we are a certain age, we will see a major difference versus our peers
Right.
who did not live the righteous life.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
So, and when I'm saying the righteous life, I'm not saying in the religious sense.
Right.
I'm saying in the sense of doing the things right, doing the things in a way which is in sync with the laws of nature
Yep.
and being kind.
Yep.
So that's what I'm
Yep.
talking.
Yep. Yeah. Keeping that good energy around.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that's like, that's one of those things, like it's sometimes overlooked, sleep's overlooked, keeping your energy in the right frame. Like those things are overlooked, and we're going after supplement. And it's like, sometimes just back up a minute. And like you
Kindness,
said, go hang out in nature for a little bit.
just kindness.
Yeah.
Sympathy is overlooked.
Yep.
Empathy is overlooked.
Yep.
And I think as long as we are in a society of winners and losers,
Yeah.
many things won't click, won't be right. They'll just you have to have, as a human being, humans are so much more complex
Mm-hmm.
than just being successful.
Right.
That's just it.
Yeah. No, totally agree. Well, I want to be conscious of your time. Thank you so much for the conversation. It's been fabulous.
Gladly, anytime.
Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.